The first problem is that she's the evil queen. The evil queen is supposed to be envious of Snow White's beauty, and that is just not believable. Even in a movie with magical mirrors and dwarves and all that, that strains my ability to suspend disbelief.
Probably the biggest aspect of disbelief you have to suspend is the idea that Gal Gadot, as the wicked witch here, as the evil stepmother, is somehow less good looking than Rachel Zegler.
That's the dumbest thing I ever heard.
Come on, gang. We ain't blind.
Disney doesn't know what a Disney princess is anymore, which is crazy.
In a surprising twist, rumors are spreading that Gal Gadot is far from happy with her Snow White co-star Rachel Zegler. As early buzz hints at possible box office trouble, the usually composed Wonder Woman star is reportedly losing her cool behind the scenes. The tension has fans and insiders buzzing, fueling a storm of speculation about what's really going on.
Disney's Snow White was essentially a box office dud. Early estimates suggested that they would take in 48 to 58 million in the first weekend. Apparently, it did 43 million in its first weekend.
Could the film's rumored failure be adding fuel to the fire between these two leading ladies? Or is it just another wild Hollywood rumor? Let's dive into the drama and uncover the real story behind the headline that's got everyone talking. At the core of it all, many viewers simply don't like the movie. Whatever messages Disney tried to include, ideological or not, seem irrelevant next to the widespread belief that the film just isn't well made.
$270 million. Obviously, it was going to win the box office. It's the biggest movie at the box office this weekend. But, for example, Disney's Cinderella, which for my money is still the only good live-action Disney remake.
Critics and fans alike have called the acting flat, the direction lacking energy, and the CGI nearly unbearable. Some scenes feel downright uncomfortable because of how awkward or overly animated the visuals appear. In a time when audiences expect polished special effects, these rough design choices and weak execution stick out in the worst way.
It's going to be a gigantic box office failure. But the trend that you're noticing is that the worst performing of the Disney movies, in terms of live-action remakes, are basically everything in the last 5 years.
At its core, many fans feel that Snow White's production missed the mark when it came to honoring the spirit of the original story. While it's clear Disney aimed to update parts of the tale, the final result feels like a mix of confused decisions. Whether the fault lies with the cast of producers or the creative team, the outcome is a film stirring up more backlash than box office success.
And that is a combination of wokeness and the pandemic, and now you better have a good reason to get people to the theaters, and this ain't it.
The ongoing tension between Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot has become a major source of drama for those inside Disney. Their friction is no longer a surprise, but instead a growing issue that shows no signs of cooling down. They have clashed more than once, and each new conflict only makes things worse. This is far more than just a difference in personality.
The movie apparently is not very good. I haven't seen it yet. I'd be shocked if it were. Again, the star, Rachel Zegler, is unbelievably charmless in public.
The conflict runs deeper than personal issues, touching on politics, creative decisions, and disagreements over how the film should be promoted. Disney now finds itself caught in the middle, juggling both the challenges of a struggling marketing campaign and the visible tension between its lead stars. It's not just behind-the-scenes drama either. Even critics who usually support Disney are changing their tune and calling Snow White a major misstep.
Studios really need to go back to what they originally did, which was tell your stars to shut up and not say things, because no one is paying to hear your star say offensive things off the screen.
The so-called Disney shills, once defenders of the brand, are now voicing their frustration with the direction this adaptation has taken. That shift in tone from even the loyalists is yet another hit to Disney's image, a company that has long depended on carefully maintained optimism to launch its projects. The financial impact is already showing, with ticket sales falling far short of what was expected.
I wanted to talk to you because you might be as happy as I am at the failure of Snow White.
Disney was aiming for another major success, but ended up with a flop that failed to connect with both longtime fans and casual viewers. The much-touted pairing of Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot, which seemed promising at first, has completely backfired. It's hard to generate excitement when your two lead stars are caught in a string of ongoing conflicts, both behind the scenes and in the public eye.
It's been 2 years, and it's been one of many now predictable Disney failures.
Multiple insiders say the behind-the-scenes tension has hit a boiling point. The usual sense of unity studios tried to create for press tours has fallen apart, replaced by an undercurrent of discomfort. That strain became impossible to ignore when Disney tried to schedule a commentary recording for the film's upcoming digital release, a session that was supposed to include Andrew Burnap.
And it's more than just a movie at this point, because normally I wouldn't even watch a princess movie, but it became such a punching bag.
The original plan was for the three lead actors to share light moments and behind-the-scenes stories from the production. Instead, things quickly spiraled into a heated argument fueled by political tensions and unresolved personal issues. According to sources, Rachel Zegler demanded that Gal Gadot avoid expressing any support for Israel during the commentary or press events, likely concerned that such comments could stir further backlash or distract from the film itself.
The culture war and a symbol, and Rachel Zegler has become the symbol of everything that's wrong with modern Hollywood right now.
Gal Gadot pushed back firmly, arguing that no one had the right to silence her or stop her from sharing her views if asked. The exchange quickly escalated, forcing Disney staff to step in and break it up, effectively shutting down the plant. To our commentary session, some within the studio even considered moving forward with a version that included only Rachel Zegler, leaving Gal out entirely.
And the audience has spoken. They were, honestly, Glenn, they were telling, every trailer that hit YouTube was getting ratioed into oblivion. And yeah, so Disney was telling you exactly what this movie was going to be.
Bob Iger reportedly stepped in and rejected that proposal, noting the clear message it would send. Cutting Gal out would only confirm to the public that the cast had completely fallen apart behind the scenes. Rachel Zegler, however, was especially focused on making her musical performances the centerpiece of the commentary. She pushed for the conversation to highlight her songs, vocal techniques, and her creative role in reimagining the classic melodies.
And the audience was telling them exactly what they thought of it. And now, unsurprisingly, it's flopping.
Meanwhile, the schedule had set aside a significant portion for Gal Gadot to discuss her role as the evil queen, the character's depth, and the transformation process she went through. Zegler saw this as an uneven distribution of focus, which only added to her growing frustration. In response, Gadot called out Zegler's inflexibility, saying she was extremely difficult to work with in group environments.
This movie, her reaction, the way they did all of it, I think this is part of the undoing of that era as well.
The way this movie was handled, especially her reaction, feels like part of the larger unraveling of that era. The personal tension eventually seeped into professional duties, making it nearly impossible to create a cohesive behind-the-scenes commentary. For Bob Iger and other Disney executives, this was a major disappointment. Commentary tracks are often valuable promotional tools, especially when a film transitions from theaters to streaming or home release.
These were movies made with a mindset of identity politics, intersectional feminism, which really goes against what Hollywood has done for hundreds of years, or 100 years, which is hundreds of years, sorry.
Meanwhile, Disney has been busy trying to manage yet another crisis, disastrous test screenings, and overwhelmingly negative critical feedback. Several sequences are reportedly being reworked with last-minute digital adjustments, and some scenes are even under consideration for partial reshoots. The goal is to soften the blow of certain clumsy story elements that have been widely mocked by both social media users and film critics.
And Hollywood doesn't know how to be good anymore. They are so black-pilled, they are so dystopian, they are so nihilistic at this point that when you see something that's just good, that it disgusts them.
But at this point, the changes may be nothing more than a bandage on a deep wound. With public opinion already firmly set, it's doubtful that any re-edit can truly redeem the film's image. The deeper loss lies in what Snow White represents. The 1937 animated original wasn't just a hit, it launched Walt Disney into global stardom and set the foundation for generations of beloved animated films. Now, that legacy feels tarnished by a live-action remake plagued by production issues. cast tension, and weak storytelling. For Rachel Zegler, once seen as a rising star, the fallout from this project could have lasting consequences.
Disney doesn't know what a Disney princess is anymore, which is crazy.
Many in the industry are now questioning whether casting her in future blockbusters is simply too risky, given the controversies that seem to follow her. While it's not uncommon for Hollywood figures to hold strong political opinions, bringing those views so forcefully into a press tour, especially for a family-focused film, can turn off a large segment of the audience. On top of that, her ongoing conflict with Gal Gadot, a globally known and widely respected star, has ended up eclipsing the successes she had earlier in her career.
What's happened is masculinity has been drained out of Hollywood, and it turns out they needed it. That's what it was built on. Now, it doesn't mean, and so is femininity, which, Snow White is essentially feminism versus femininity.
Talent alone may not be enough to undo the damage caused by a wave of headlines portraying her as difficult to work with. Gal Gadot, on the other hand, isn't walking away untouched. She's been pulled into the same swirl of controversy. However, her status as an A-list star and the goodwill she's built through her role as Wonder Woman could help shield her reputation, keeping her core fan base intact. Still, insiders suggest that this situation could put strain on her standing with Disney as a corporate partner moving forward.
And sure, you can, yes, it's made in 1937, but it boggles my mind that Disney took the film that built their empire.
Yes.
That is a paradigm shift movie that is sacred text in Hollywood.
In a perfect world, Disney wants its leading stars to present a united, polished image, but that's far from the case here. Snow White 2025 has quickly become a textbook example of how a major studio project can unravel on multiple fronts. It proves that even with a huge budget, a powerful brand, and a legendary source material, things can still fall apart if the cast isn't aligned, the script lacks focus, and the marketing team can't contain the surrounding controversies.
And just threw away the original script and gave us, and I'm not kidding, communist propaganda.
Why do you say that?
Snow White.
Adding to the trouble, industry analysts have already labeled the film a complete flop. Its domestic box office numbers have fallen far short of even the most cautious projections, and the international performance hasn't made up the difference. The final act, in particular, has drawn heavy criticism for its jarring tonal shifts and a climax that many viewers found confusing. Rather than ending on a strong, satisfying note, the film stumbles through an awkward attempt to fuse modern messaging with the traditional fairy tale format.
It really does feel like they did massive reshoots during the strike. So they tried to fix some of it, so it's kind of half a fairy tale.
Fans who hold the original Snow White dear are left questioning how Disney allowed the story to drift so far from its roots. Making matters worse, even the usual media voices that tend to defend Disney have mostly gone quiet. A few have attempted to spotlight positives: costume design, some of the stunt work, or the effort to weave in social themes, but the dominant story remains one of failure and poor judgment. As the backlash grows, so does speculation that the film could cost Disney hundreds of millions, even with potential recovery efforts through merchandise or theme park tie-ins. The heavy cloud of negativity continues to hang over the project, discouraging a broad audience from engaging. Now, Bob Iger faces difficult choices. Should Disney stand by the film as misunderstood and underappreciated, or quietly pivot to future projects and hope the controversy fades over time? Historically, Disney has been quick to move past flops, but the depth of cast drama this time makes it far harder to quietly move on.
And as the BBC says, Glenn, a Marxist call to arms. Even the BBC called it out for its communist propaganda.
Every time Gal Gadot or Rachel Zegler appears in an interview, the media jumps at the chance to revisit the ongoing Snow White controversy. Online communities have only added fuel to the fire, creating memes and videos mocking everything from the film's strange dwarf redesigns to the rumored blow-up during the failed commentary session. While Disney is no stranger to social media backlash, The sheer scale and persistence of this reaction is unusual even by today's standards. It's being compared to past box office disasters, but this time it's hitting one of Disney's most treasured properties, which raises the emotional stakes for longtime fans. Some viewers blame the failure on misguided efforts to modernize the story, arguing that Snow White didn't need a full overhaul to remain relevant. Instead of enhancing the narrative, the addition of heavy-handed moral lessons only highlighted the film's weak plot. Many believe that a more faithful retelling paired with tighter pacing, rich visuals, and stronger character arcs could have softened the backlash. Instead, the project now stands as a clear warning. Even the most recognizable brand can't save a poorly executed film, and cast dysfunction can derail a production from the inside. Rachel Zegler's unwillingness to separate her political views from the promotional tour clashed directly with Gal Gadot's decision to speak on her own beliefs. That clash has been at the center of much of the tension. Beneath all the noise, the film itself simply failed to impress. Had it been critically acclaimed, some of these controversies might have faded into the background. Instead, attention remains focused on the awkward final product and the behind-the-scenes drama that continues to unfold. Moving forward, Disney faces tough choices. Will they quietly send the film to Disney Plus with little promotion, hoping public interest fades? Or will they try to salvage what they can through more reshoots, interviews, or statements from the creative team? Historically, Disney has moved on quickly after theatrical misfires, but this one is harder to sweep away, thanks to the unusual level of cast conflict. The bigger question now is what this means for Zegler and Gadot professionally. Will any studio risk pairing them again? Or has the damage been done? Industry insiders and fans alike are watching closely. As the backlash grows, the stakes extend beyond just one film. They reflect broader questions about how Hollywood navigates politics, casting choices, and the limits of creative freedom. Snow White was meant to be a modern fairy tale revival. Instead, it has become a case study in what can go wrong when personal agendas, poor planning, and weak storytelling collide. Disney may very well revisit this title in the future, but it will likely be with a new vision, a new cast, and a much more careful approach. Until then, we're left watching the fallout, a blend of corporate missteps, star power clashing behind the scenes, and a film that just couldn't live up to its name. If you've made it this far and value this kind of breakdown, feel free to share your thoughts. Should Rachel Zegler have toned things down for the sake of professionalism? Did Gal Gadot overstep, or was she simply defending her right to speak? And what could Disney have done differently from the start? Your voice adds depth to the discussion, so jump in and keep the conversation going. I'll be back with more updates as the situation develops. Until then, take care and remember, sometimes the drama off camera says more than the story on screen.